Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we have a very interesting topic, something that might trigger many of you who believe that grammar is the answer to anything. So I invite you to have an open mind, stay with me until the end, see my perspective, see my method, and we can discuss later in the comments. So is grammar the answer to better confidence in English? My very confident answer to this is no, based on my own journey and my own experience with English as a non-native speaker and as a coach now with people all over the world who come to me asking for advice. So no, grammar will not fix your confidence. Grammar will not fix your speaking. The reason you believe it will is because of the language learning market and the teaching industry today. So I just want to say it's not your fault. If you've been learning English for a long time, for many, many, many years, you know how they teach us English. We're giving the grammar a book. We need to go through the book. Then we go towards some advanced option and we just consume information. We consume a lot of English, a lot of grammar. Probably 70% of that we're not even going to use in real life, in a real conversation ever. And so this just goes in circle and circle because it works for the industry. It's supposed to keep us in a cycle of constant consumption, of constant learning, and keep us stuck, which is something that I do not recommend, especially if you want to grow as a person, grow in your communication, personally develop yourself, have a higher role. So if this is what you want, stick with me and let's get started. I see a trend and I see it all the time. I see high achieving, intelligent professionals who literally mastered their industry. Like they're either leaders, entrepreneurs, experts in their field, but the moment they have to speak English, everything changes. Like they are not the same person. They become people who hesitate, overthink, second guess every sentence. They do this even before it leaves their mouth. So everything happens here. And I ask them, what is stopping you from speaking with confidence? And believe it or not, the answer is almost always the same. Most of you who come to me for coaching, you say, I need to learn more grammar. I need to learn more vocabulary because right now, I don't know. I don't know what happens, but even if I've been learning for a long time, I still need to learn more because I can't speak. And you come to me asking for more lessons, better lessons. Let me see your method because I've tried it and it didn't work in the past. So my answer is no, you don't. You don't have a grammar problem. You don't have a vocabulary structure problem. You have a confidence problem. And those two things are completely different. Language and confidence. And grammar is part of the language, the technical stuff. Grammar itself won't fix your speaking confidence. Because let's be real, if learning more grammar was the answer, you would already be speaking confidently because you know the rules. Even if you don't fully know them, 90% of the job is done. You've studied them. You have memorized the tenses. You understand conditionals fully or partially. You do understand them. You can probably explain the difference between present simple and past simple, or I don't know, present perfect or past perfect, even better than a native speaker, because believe it or not, native speakers make tons of grammar mistakes. And yet, when you open your mouth to speak, when you are in a situation that you just have to communicate, it's under pressure, it's fast, you have to speak, it's a real-time conversation, your mind goes blank. And that is not because you don't know enough grammar or you don't know enough advanced grammar. It's because you are obsessed with it. You've trained yourself, and mind you, this is not your fault. The system kind of, pushes this to us. So you've trained yourself to prioritize correctness over communication. And that is exactly what's making you feel stuck. We've all been told a lie. So since you first started learning English, you've been conditioned to believe one thing. And correct me if I'm wrong. We've been conditioned to think mistakes equals failure. In school, every grammar mistake was circled in red ink or crossed over in red ink, right? Every test you took measured your ability to follow the rules. Every teacher put into your brain that speaking correctly was more important than speaking at all. Isn't this right? So naturally what happens is now every time you open your mouth, subconsciously, your brain scans for errors before you even say a word. And this happens subconsciously because it's a belief, it's a pattern that operates in your brain. So naturally, your focus is on not making mistakes instead of making an impact. And what happens next is something that I've been through. So I used to hesitate a lot. I was stopping myself mid-sentence because I would get so overwhelmed. I would correct myself while speaking, or even worse, apologize for making a mistake. I would feel frustrated because my English was just never good enough. Never, ever. It was never enough. Meanwhile, some native speaker next to you or a colleague that you may have, they're throwing words together without thinking twice. And it seems like everything is just flowing. How? And they're making grammar mistakes all over the place and nobody cares. You can't even notice that they made a mistake because it seems so effortless. So why does this happen? It's because confidence beats correctness every single time. When you're confident, even if you're not correct, you're doing so well. Okay, so think about this. Have you ever met someone who speaks English fluently but has bad grammar? Of course you have. They're fluent, but their grammar is not, that good. People don't follow perfect grammar or perfect English. If you walk into a room or a meeting and you say, I think maybe if we analyze the data, we can find some solutions. Yeah? What's going to happen? People will probably ignore you. Not because your grammar is wrong, but because you sound unsure. But if you come in, if you own the room, and if you say, here's what the data shows, and here's the solution, what do you think? People instantly listen. Why? Because the power is not in the grammar. The power is in your conviction. Right now, you're stuck in your head. You overanalyze every sentence. You replay conversations and you're wondering if you sounded correct, like a broken record in your mind. You probably avoid speaking in important situations unless you are absolutely sure that your grammar is perfect. And you do this by rehearsing every sentence that you want to say. But deep down, you know this is holding you back. You're watching less experienced people, sometimes even people who know less English than you, and they get more attention, they get more respect and more opportunities, and your immediate response is, I need to learn more. No, they have one thing that you don't. They trust themselves when they speak. That's it. Now, I want you to sit with me and imagine, where do you want to be? Imagine you're speaking without hesitation. Imagine you're walking into meetings, you're speaking and presenting your ideas with confidence. Can you imagine this? And imagine everybody in the room, people sitting, and they're listening to you. Not because your grammar is perfect, but because your presence is kind of magnetic. This is the shift you need to make. If you can imagine this and if you can feel this in your heart, you can do it. So how do you actually build confidence without obsessing over grammar? If I have to answer this very simply, if you want to break free from overthinking, the first thing you need to do is to unlearn everything that the school system taught you about speaking English. How to do this? Number one, you need to stop thinking like a student and start thinking like a communicator. Because right now, you are approaching English like a school subject, like it's math, where there is right and wrong answer. Let's forget about this. Communication is not about the rules. Communication is all about being able to connect, because native speakers, They don't walk around thinking about their grammar. I'm sure you're going to relate to this to your own native language. You don't walk around and just think about which grammar you're using. No, this is not in your mind even. Turn that part of your brain off. Is my sentence grammatically correct? Turn it off. It's not going to happen instantly, but it's going to happen. Just ask yourself, did my message land? Is what I'm trying to say landing? That's the only thing that matters. And this is not going to happen the first time, the second time, the fifth time. I don't want you to have unreal expectations that once you start practicing this, once you start turning off that part of your brain, that it's instantly going to happen. No, it takes practice and it takes time. So you got to be patient with yourself. After a while, because if you do it repetitively over an extended period of time, you're going to see, I promise you're going to see that it's working. And you're becoming better and better and better. The next thing I want you to think about is to prioritize speed over perfection. If you want to sound more confident, you need to start speaking faster than your brain can correct you. So before letting your brain jump into you with that subconscious belief, you have to stop it. You have to be first. Because when you give yourself too much time to think, your brain is going to go, I'm going to doubt you, I'm going to edit you, and I'm going to second guess. You're bad. Okay? This is what the brain does. So practice speaking without stopping. You can try this at home. Set a timer for 1 minute and talk about everything, but don't allow yourself to pause. Don't allow yourself to be, oh, that was the wrong tense. Okay? Don't do that. Just keep going. Keep going. Do it for a few times. But again, the goal isn't to be perfect. It's to break free from that hesitation, where your brain is like, what should I say? What kind of a sentence should I make? Try this 3 times a week, 5 times a week, 1 time a week, but just try and keep trying. Keep doing it. Whenever you have free time, just take your phone, let me record myself without my brain interrupting, and let's see what happens. The next thing you have to think about is to use simple sentences. Most of my clients and most of the people that I work with, they try to speak in complex sentences, advanced English, because they think that this is going to make them sound more professional. Well, let me break it to you. It doesn't. It makes them sound uncertain. So it does the direct opposite of making you sound more professional. So instead of you saying something like, what I was thinking is that maybe we could consider implementing a new system that would allow us to analyze the data more effectively, which is too long, too complex. You want to simplify it and say, let's use a new system to analyze the data. It will be more effective. Short, clear, confident. Less is more. And this is the truth about confidence in English. You don't need to keep learning and consuming advanced grammar. You don't need to keep learning and consuming and overloading your brain with more words. And you don't need to fix your accent. No. You need to stop waiting to be perfect before you speak, because you become confident when you own your voice. If you're still here and if you watched until the end, what do you guys think? Have I been clear enough? What do you think about this concept? Let me know in the comments, and also let me know, how long have you been learning English, either at school or maybe taking courses? How long has it been that you've been learning English, but you're still struggling to speak? Let's have a chat in the comments. Finally, if you want to hear my story of how I realized that the trend speak like a native is something damaging and is fear-based, you can hear my experience and you can hear why I almost quit teaching English and teaching communication. In this video, I'm going to link it somewhere over here. You can go ahead and watch it. It's a very honest and brutal video where I say it all, no filters. So you might want to go ahead and watch that next. Until the next video, don't forget to stay zen, and I'll see you then. Bye.